Don't bring an old woman just because you're single.
My manager said that and laughed crudely. His attitude and words were incredibly disrespectful. Even when I and his wife asked him to stop.
Don't bring an old woman just because you're single.
He just laughed mockingly. I was thinking about how to respond to him at that moment.
Henry, what are you saying?
What?
Executives rushed over and surrounded us. Perplexed by the situation, he must have sensed that something had happened.
Well, I see Miss Helen Walker come here today.
An executive walked up and kindly spoke to my grandma with a smile. Right after that, the manager's face turned pale. I'm James Walker, a single businessman. Since I was a child, my grandma, Helen, has always told me,
people are weak creatures who dislike those who are different from themselves. They refuse to acknowledge or accept, and they criticize. It's sad, but what's even sadder is altering your life to accommodate such people, preventing you from living true to yourself.
She spoke as if she had lived through it herself. As a child, I didn't fully understand what she meant.
You might not understand now, but you'll get it when you're older,
she said, patting my head. Back then, I didn't really grasp the meaning of her words.
Just live life your own way, James.
Okay, got it. The answer I gave was just to show my personality. I thought that's what she meant.
Well, shall we start making dinner?
I'll help. My family consists of my dad, me, my brother, and my grandma. My mom passed away when I was in high school.
Just live life your way, as Grandma always says. I'll be watching over you from heaven.
She was sick. After her illness was discovered, it progressed quickly, and despite her fight, my mom passed away swiftly and went to heaven. Nevertheless, we had many conversations in that short time. So I believe we managed to say goodbye properly at the funeral.
Don't worry about anything. I will take good care of them.
After my mom passed away, my grandma took over the household chores. My dad runs his own business and hardly had time for housework. That's why my grandma's presence was invaluable to my brother and me. Why did you start your current job, Dad?
I've always wanted to try it.
My dad, who received the same teachings from my grandma as I did, was true to wanting to do what he desired. The business he runs was something he wanted to try since he was a child, and my grandma never opposed it. That's why, despite the hardships, my dad seemed to enjoy his work. However, right after my mom passed away, even Dad seemed quite disheartened.
I'm thinking about folding my business.
That's what my dad was saying. I didn't oppose him when he said that, and my brother just responded, "Is that so?" Only my grandma truly took in what he said.
If you're sure you won't regret closing the shop because of a momentary feeling, but if you hesitated even for a moment just now, you should reconsider closing it.
And that was the advice she gave. As a result, the business continued. Growing up in such a family, I also tried various activities in college, including clubs and extracurricular activities.
You seem to be enjoying every day, James.
Well, yeah, I join in on anything that interests me, so it's fun experiencing different things every day. Thanks to that, I was able to gain many experiences, After graduation, I joined a trading company in our hometown. It wasn't a massive corporation, but was a significant company locally. I'll be myself even at work. I fought as I took my first step into the professional world, filled with anticipation.
Don't go too hard from the start. You tend to miss social cues.
The one who called out to me with a laugh was my brother William, who just started college this year. He's also studying hard to fulfill his own dreams. Really?
Yeah, you say what you want bluntly, but there are people who find that uncomfortable.
I couldn't help but laugh wryly. It's true, I say what I think. I've gotten into trouble over it before, so now I've learned to hold back when necessary. Don't worry, I've grown up, I said with a smile.
We'll see about that.
William muttered.
James, how's work? Are you getting used to it?
Yes, thank you. Everyone's been so helpful. It's easy to work here. The company I joined was full of excellent employees. It wasn't just that each person had high skills. Excellence meant more than that.
That's good. We are always here to support you.
Thank you. I was deeply moved seeing how the team members supported each other and helped one another. They supported each other in minimizing any individual's mistakes. People frequently expressed their desires openly, not just agreeing with others for the sake of it, and everyone seriously considered those opinions. The comments weren't made to disrupt the flow but came from a genuine desire to create good products. Perhaps it was this atmosphere that allowed every employee to fully express their own individuality while looking in the same direction, and I felt very comfortable there. I felt I could work in my own way here.
Hey, don't spoil the newcomer. That won't help him grow.
Henry. Even in such a comfortable company, there were still those who didn't quite fit in. One of them being manager Henry Carter. Henry was authoritative towards everyone.
Come on, Henry. It's important we support him to help him grow.
That's too soft. That's why the young people these days are so weak.
He wasn't just presumptuous with juniors, but also spoke forcefully to his superiors. It was because the company culture allowed everyone to be themselves that his attitude, distinctly Henry-like, was accepted. Yet, many people found it difficult to deal with him. He himself would be slightly aware of this.
You guys don't understand how much I speak up for the company.
He would say somewhat resentfully to the other employees. If he was aware, he should leave. But from his perspective, everyone else should adapt to him. I understand what Henry is trying to say. I'll try not to rely too much on others. In that moment, I just said so and casually brushed it off. Now I handle it maturely, but there was a time I was fed up with his attitude and confronted him. It started over something trivial.
You can't even greet your superiors properly. What kind of upbringing did you have?
He didn't like the way a newcomer greeted. That was the reason.
Even if I don't greet you, as the lowest rank, you should be the first to greet and express your gratitude.
He was saying such nonsensical things. Hearing that, I couldn't help but interject. It probably means they don't appreciate you.
Don't get smart with me.
In the next moment, he exploded in anger and scolded me fiercely.
Getting pretty bold to talk back to me like that, huh?
He was intimidating me. Then he got so heated that the situation became uncontrollable.
What's all the fuss about?
Just then, Managing Director Michelle Taylor, who heard the noise, came and calmed the situation down. As expected, he did not intend to deal with the managing director. Henry quickly disappeared.
James, expressing your opinion freely is important, but think about the timing. We have the founding anniversary party coming up soon. There's nothing to gain from irritating him.
I was cautioned by Michelle after she saw Henry.
But well, when it gets too bad, you know.
Michelle whispered to me secretly and smiled. It's because of her like this that many employees admire her. I am one of those who is grateful to work under her.
James, you're the same as ever.
That was Sarah Scott, my co-worker from the same year, laughing as she spoke to me. She also has a strong desire to improve and actively takes on work. Henry, who didn't like her, sometimes scolded her saying, "For a woman, you can't talk either, can you?" Didn't you talk back to Henry the other day saying, "Is it because I'm a woman?"
Well, I did.
She laughed, and I ended up laughing, too. Seeing us like that, Michelle smiled and said, "It's good to see you getting along."
How's work?
When I got home, my dad, who had returned earlier, asked me that. Yo, I'm enjoying it. The company culture suits me.
That's good to hear.
How's the store doing?
It's going well. I'm planning to start something new soon.
My dad said cheerfully. Seeing him fully recovered from my mom's passing gave me peace of mind.
James, welcome home. I'll have dinner ready soon.
Thanks, Grandma. Where's William?
He said he'd study till a good stopping point.
After that, I enjoyed the meal prepared by my grandma and the family time together. A few days later, the company's founding anniversary party was held. Holding it at such a large hotel, it's nerve-wracking. It's customary to rent a large hotel and have a grand celebration for the founding anniversary party. Despite being established just half a century ago, the company has grown significantly, and the party is popular because all participants can eat and drink at the company's expense. There are a lot of people here. Looks like Michelle's husband is here. Attendees can bring their spouses or partners in addition to the employees themselves. Sure enough, Michelle was enjoying the meal with her dapper husband.
Are you sure it was okay to bring me?
It's fine. I don't have a partner, and it would be lonely to attend alone. I attended with my grandma. Unfortunately, I don't have a partner. It seems many others have brought their partners. Initially, I thought about attending the ceremony alone, but I decided to bring my grandma. To me, grandma is also someone very important. I am who I am today, undoubtedly thanks to my grandma. I wanted to bring her to the ceremony to repay her for everything so far.
It's been a while since I've been to such a place, but it's quite exhausting,
she said with a laugh. Despite her words, she seemed to be enjoying herself. Well, it's a rare opportunity, so enjoy it. To my grandma, I responded with a smile.
Hey, James.
While chatting amiably with my grandma, someone approached us. That person was my manager.
James, is this your girlfriend? Who is she?
He talked to me with a drunken laugh.
You like older women, her? Well, But don't bring your granny just because you're single.
What are you saying? Stop it.
Don't bring some old lady just because you're single.
At the rude remark, the woman next to him, who seemed to be his wife, whispered while pulling on his arm. However, he didn't seem to be listening and continued to smirk and speak while looking back and forth between me and my grandma. Trying to stay calm so as not to ruin the atmosphere, I responded, "This is my grandma, who has taken care of me in place of my mom. I brought her here today to enjoy herself."
You're from a single-parent family. Poor thing. You probably didn't receive proper love. Grandma, maybe you failed in raising him. This guy doesn't think much of those above him.
Saying that, the manager leaned in to look at my grandma's face and laugh. It was then, feeling compelled to finally talk back, that I opened my mouth.
Henry, what are you saying?
What?
They must have been listening to our conversation nearby. The executives rushed over and surrounded us. Not just the manager, but I also was shocked and froze. Meanwhile, the executives continued to speak out against the manager.
You need to correct that. She is.
What's going on?
Then, noticing the commotion, Michelle approached. She looked puzzled but brightened up when she saw my grandma.
Oh, Miss Helen Walker, you came here today.
She greeted my grandma with a smile. At this, both Henry and I were visibly confused.
Yes, my grandson invited me. I hesitated about showing my face as an old-timer, but I couldn't say no to my grandson.
Grandma responded with a smile to Michelle, who was also smiling. As the two of them chatted amiably, I tilted my head in confusion. Why do Grandma and Michelle know each other? I blurted out to my grandma, but Michelle answered instead.
Didn't you know, Helen is the wife of the company's founder, Max, and she was the second president.
What?
Really?
I was surprised by Michelle's revelation, but Henry was even more shocked.
The former president.
It seemed the fact sobered him up. His face, previously flushed, turned pale. My grandma stepped closer to Henry.
So, you were saying something about my upbringing being incorrect.
Then, with a sharp look, she asked. Under that gaze, Henry became flustered.
You spoke without knowing anything. You should repent for your actions.
Michelle shot him a cold look.
Answer my question properly. And you were quite rude, weren't you? Even though your wife tried to stop you, you persisted in making others feel uncomfortable. What were you thinking?
My grandma then scolded Henry with an intensity I had never seen before. I could only watch silently at this unexpected scene. After speaking her mind, my grandma sighed.
I'll leave your fate to Michelle, but if I were still president, I would make sure you never returned to this industry.
My grandma said coldly.
I'm very sorry.
I'm truly sorry.
Both he and his wife were tearfully apologizing. While I felt sorry for his wife, no one seemed inclined to defend Henry. Soon after, Henry was fired for his disrespectful remarks toward the former president, with the current president, Michelle's husband, losing his temper over it. The president treated him kindly and said,
"If there is anyone to defend you, I might consider just a demotion."
Hearing this, I honestly thought the president was also not a nice person. Henry is already disliked by everyone around. No one would try to help him.
That guy asked me to cover for him. I flatly refused.
I turned him down too. There might be someone who would sue him, but no one would defend him.
As expected, no employee wanted to defend him. Instead, it seemed like they were settling scores.
We have been mistreated by him like this.
Some employees even said they would quit if he wasn't fired. Therefore, the president decided to fire Henry after listening to the employees' opinions.
I heard his wife ran away from him.
I was told by word of mouth that his wife had left him. Well, she seemed sensible, and it's natural she wouldn't want to stay with him any longer. So, what is Henry doing now?
Oh, he's living day to day on temp jobs.
According to a senior who apparently saw him directing traffic, his former colleague got a call from him asking for help. Well, it seems everyone is ignoring him and has blocked his contact. I hope he's not causing trouble at his temp job. Muttering that, I decided to focus on my work. By the way, I wonder what Grandma meant by that. After the founding party ended, "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked my grandma. I was just as surprised as anyone else that my grandma had been the former president.
Honestly, when you said you joined that company, I was shocked. I thought about telling you, but I was worried that my words might crush you under some pressure.
My grandma responded to my query. Her words made me wonder what kind of pressure she was talking about. However, since she chose not to explain further, I didn't pry. Well, I guess I'll just be myself at work. That was what I thought. But what awaited me was an unwelcome reality.
Hey, James. You're Helen's grandson, aren't you?
Yes, well.
If you've inherited Helen's blood, you'll be fine.
It seems that after that incident, other employees also learned that my grandma was the former president. Because of that, my seniors often approached me, and I found myself assigned to jobs for reasons I didn't quite understand. However, there's one thing that really bothers me. Everyone sees me as the grandson of the founder. I'm happy to be entrusted with work, but I can't shake the feeling that they give me these responsibilities because I'm the founder's grandson. Previously, I was seen as just another employee, but now it's different. From the moment I realized that, I gradually felt more constrained. I feel like I'm conforming to others more than being myself. I've started holding back on what I want to do and say, focusing on coordinating with others and acting as the founder's grandson.
James has really come into its own recently.
Thank you. As a result, that's what they started saying. The actions I took to not tarnish my grandma's image were well received by my bosses. However, I was left with a feeling of dissatisfaction inside.
That's why you look so tired, James.
I shared these frustrations with Sarah. There seems to be a distance now between me and my peers, who were once close. They are probably concerned about my status as the founder's grandson. I was grateful that Sarah, who still approaches me just like before, hasn't changed.
To be honest, it's hard to approach you now, James, and it makes working together difficult.
According to her, the presence of seniors and bosses around me makes others hesitant to speak up. Moreover, where I used to be very outspoken, I now find myself playing a mediator role. Some of my peers who were influenced by me are also affected in their work.
You don't seem like yourself, and everyone's a bit wary of you. They worry that if they get on your bad side, the bosses will notice them.
Hearing this, I sighed.
James, about the next project, I want you to lead it.
Yes, I understand. By this time, I had become a frequent project leader. I often led projects that involved pushing various business initiatives.
James can handle it, right?
Yeah, he's Helen's grandson after all.
However, this wasn't voluntary participation driven by my own interest. It was largely due to others' recommendations.
If he's the founder's grandson, he can surely handle it.
Something like that. While it's good to be trusted, it's always as the founder's grandson. Thus, although I used to enjoy my work, I've recently started it with mixed feelings. During one of those days, at a meeting,
What do you think, James?
I paused for a moment, reflexively wanting to express my opinion, but I hesitated, fearing that my input might disrupt the progress we had made. I think everyone should make the choice that they find most comfortable. As a result, I ended up giving a safe response.
Understood.
At that moment, the other employees smiled and agreed with me. And I secretly breathed a sigh of relief, hoping nobody noticed.
James.
I didn't realize that Sarah was looking at me with a complex expression. A few days later,
James, can I talk to you for a minute?
I was called in by Michelle. I hadn't caused any problems like those with Henry, and my projects were progressing smoothly. Called in under such circumstances, I was inwardly tilting my head, not understanding the reason.
Your recent work attitude hasn't been very good.
That's what I was told when I arrived. I was taken aback and paused for a few seconds. Work attitude, you say? I don't think I've been disruptive.
I'm saying that your way of thinking is not good.
I quickly counted, but she stated it flatly.
This company values individuality. Even Henry managed that, so why have you become a yes man?
Her words made me realize something. Indeed, even when juniors or peers asked for my opinion, I had been saying non-committal things like, whatever everyone chooses is fine, just going with the flow.
It seems you understand now. We recognize your position, but let's think a little more about the future.
Michelle's words made me nod. I pondered what she said as I headed home.
Welcome back. Oh.
Hello.
Have I done something?
My grandma, greeting me as I returned home, muttered this upon seeing my face. Just that was enough for her to perceive that I was troubled. I chuckled wryly, admitting I was no match for my grandma. Grandma, can you listen to my story? Then, I told my grandma about what Michelle had said, how I felt like I was being viewed through the lens of being the founder's grandson, and how I thought I had to live up to that expectation. My grandma listened without interrupting, nodding along, and when I finished, she smiled with a troubled look.
Just as I thought, you seem to be getting crushed under pressure. But yes, you are indeed my grandson, and that's something that can't be changed. It's inevitable. But remember, you are a different person from me. Instead of acting with me in mind, it's okay to do what you want to do, to show your own true colors.
She said calmly, holding my hand. Her words never felt like a reprimand, but more like guidance, sinking gently into my heart.
Being a yes man isn't really like my grandson. I think everyone would like you more if you were more yourself.
Hearing this, I agreed. Indeed, instead of always trying to maintain my grandma's dignity by reading the room, showing more of my true self might indeed uphold her dignity better as her grandson. That's what I thought.
I'm home. Oh, you're back already.
At that moment, William came back. He was holding a thick stack of documents in his hand. Yo, I came home a bit early today. How's your studying going?
Well, it's not too hard. It's been my dream since I was a kid.
William's dream was to become a lawyer. Ever since he was a kid, his dream was to become a hero, and ultimately, he aimed to be a lawyer who helps others like a hero.
Actually, I wanted to talk to you about something.
What's wrong?
I heard from Grandma about a little dispute you had. I'd like to hear about it if you don't mind. I want to simulate what I would do as a lawyer.
Seeing William talk with apparent enjoyment, I chuckled wryly at first, but seeing him in such a brotherly way, I decided to happily cooperate. As long as it's within what can be discussed, that's fine. After that, taking advice from Michelle and my grandma, I started speaking up more in meetings. I think this plan is better, however, if we go with this option. Of course, sometimes this led to disagreements with other employees. But these discussions became a joyful part of my job.
With the current James, we can work joyfully.
Sarah also said, making it a delightful day. Gradually, the projects I participated in began to succeed one after another.
As expected of the former president's grandson.
Thanks to that, I began to hear it more often than before.
You seem happier lately.
While dining together, my dad said that to me. What? I replied, to which he said with a relieved smile.
You looked quite stressed recently.
It seems I had been worrying him a lot. Yo, work has started to be fun again.
That's good then.
When I began to act as I wanted, everyone initially looked surprised. However, when my peers accepted this change in me, everyone else quickly followed suit. Now, I was enjoying myself again.
Grandma and I are always on your side, so move forward as you see fit.
My dad encouraged me, and I nodded with a smile. Being oneself can be challenging in today's times, especially within an organization where you often have to prioritize the group over the individual. But perhaps that's why it's necessary to find a place where you can shine without compromising yourself.
Recently, James has really started to look good.
Sarah said to me one day. Thank you. I replied, looking into her face. When I was struggling to express myself, Sarah continued to engage with me without change. Before I knew it, I was drawn to her. There was just one thing that bothered me. Hey, Sarah, can I ask you something?
If I can answer it.
The person you came with to the founding party, who was that? In fact, Sarah had brought a man to the party. I had been curious about him, which had prevented me from expressing my feelings.
Oh, him. That was my brother.
It turned out that she had brought her brother to the party.
I don't have a boyfriend, so I asked my brother to act the part.
She said with a bashful look. Finding her endearing, I spontaneously confessed my feelings. "If you don't mind, I want you to go out with me."
What?
Sarah's face turned bright red, but she soon nodded in agreement. That made me incredibly happy. From now on, I resolved in my heart to live true to myself. Together with her,